welcome back to my channel where I share my love of oil painting and I guide you through some of my techniques. In this series we have been exploring the basics of oil painting, and in this video we're going to be diving into the next step of the process. If you've been following along, then you'll know that in the first video we spoke about using a grid for your composition, and in the second video we spoke about blocking in your painting. If you haven't seen these yet, then I will link them in the description, or you can click this link here for the playlist. So this is where we're up to so far. The composition's there, it's blocked in, and I'm ready to get on with the next stage, which is going to be today's video. So we are going to be putting down the first layers of colour. This is where you're going to start to see it come to life and take shape. So if you're ready, grab your brushes and let's get started. When painting with oil, I always paint in layers. We already have the first layer in place, which is the monochrome underpainting. Now I'm making a start on layer 2, which is all about building colour. At this stage, the most important part is just getting the paint down. I do want the colours to be as accurate as possible, but it doesn't need to be perfect, as I do plan to do a lot of tweaking later. It's really hard to get the perfect colour on the first layer, so I still consider this to be an underpainting. The monochrome underpainting should help you to keep values in mind as you mix your colours, but if I'm ever in doubt about how dark or light to go, I'd rather start dark and work my way lighter, as it's much easier to lighten a colour as opposed to darken it. Now the brightest highlights will go on right at the end. An amazing tip I was given was to paint what you see and not what you think you see. Now the piano isn't all brown as you would expect. There are greys, ochres, reds and green in there too. So I try to bear this in mind and really focus on what I see and not what I think I see when colour mixing. Another useful tip when colour mixing is to think in terms of colourful greys or chroma. This refers to the intensity or saturation of a colour, with high chroma colours being vibrant and intense, while low chroma colours are more muted or dull. I usually paint somewhere in the middle, and I always tone down colours with grey or the opposite end of the colour wheel. For shadows and highlights, I very rarely use pure black or pure white. Shadows are very rarely true black, even if they look it. The piano legs in this painting look like they may be black, but they are actually a very deep brown. Using black would ruin the values of my painting and make the contrast way too strong. The same is true with highlights. They're very rarely pure white, unless it's a reflection in silver or a bright light. Another thing to pay attention to is that I try to paint the background at the same time as the foreground so that I can blend my lines. There are no sharp lines in the real world, so lost edges and blended edges will make your painting look less cartoony. As I'm getting this layer down, I'm continually telling myself not to blend too much. Overblending can diminish the visual interest and vibrancy of your artwork. When colours are excessively blended together, they lose their distinctiveness and can become dull and muddy. This can lead to a lack of contrast and depth in the painting, as well as a loss of texture and brush work. But leaving some areas less blended can create visual interest and focal points within the painting, enhancing the overall aesthetic appeal. So that's the second layer completed, but I'm not finished yet. I'm going to let this dry completely and then I'll start on the third layer. Each layer I put down is chipping away at that final image, honing it and refining it. Now the layering technique I'm using here is known as wet on dry. It involves applying new layers of paint onto a totally dry base. With each layer that I add, I'm going to add details, highlights, colours, shadows, or any other desired elements to the painting. One advantage of layering is the ability to play with glazing. This is where you water down your oil paint to make it translucent or see-through. This is known as a glaze. To glaze, dilute your chosen colour with a medium, such as linseed oil or a glazing medium. I use Winsor & Newton's Artisan Painting Medium. The consistency should be thin and fluid, similar to that of a watery wash. You then use a soft brush to apply the glaze evenly over the desired area. Be careful not to disturb the underlying layers of paint, and you can apply multiple layers of glaze to achieve the desired effect, but make sure each layer is completely dry before applying the next one. If the glaze appears too intense, you can blot it gently with a clean cloth or blend it with a soft brush to reduce its strength. And you can also experiment with different colours and layering techniques to achieve different effects. I practice and experiment with glazing in every painting to better understand its effects fully. Glazing can really add richness and subtlety to your oil paintings, and it can enhance the overall depth and luminosity of your artwork. So that's almost it, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this series on oil painting for beginners. In the first video, we focused on using a grid to craft the perfect composition. In the second video, we ventured into the technique of using a monochrome underpainting to get those values just right. And then in this video, we delved into the wonderful world of layering to add colour and depth, bringing your artwork to life. But the journey doesn't end there. We have one last video which is going to be on varnishing your artwork, which will protect it, it will enhance it, it will even it out, and it will elevate your artwork to new heights. So don't miss out on that video. If you've enjoyed these videos and want to continue exploring the wonders of art with me, then don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. By doing so, you'll stay updated for future tutorials, tips, artwork, and inspiration. Let's keep our passion for art alive and create wonderful works of art together. As always, your support means the world to me, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.